Welcome to the award-winning Champions Mojo, hosted by two world record-holding athletes and health, life, and leadership coaches. Be inspired as you listen to Conversations with Champions. And now, your hosts, Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Champions Mojo podcast. I am your host, Kelly Pallas, and I am solo today, but we're going to talk about a subject that will hopefully mean a lot to you, whether you are an athlete, a swimmer. This is going to work in or out of the pool, and that is 5 tips for competing against or with a loved one. And this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart because my husband, Mark, and I have just come off of swimming the U.S. Masters National Swimming Championship, the Long Course Masters Nationals in Mission Viejo, California. And what a fun time we had. We trained together. We usually don't swim the same events, but this meet, we decided we were going to meet in the middle. We have a fun competition together. And we swam the 400 IM together, not in the same heat, but in different heats. And we ended up being less than 1/10 of a second apart. So I hope you'll stick around and listen to 5 tips that you can use, whether you're competing against your spouse or just a really good friend that you train with on your team. It's hard to see one of you do well and one not do well in a particular event that you're competing against each other in. Or maybe your siblings, or maybe you're just really great friends. But we're going to talk about competing and 5 tips that will help you. The first thing that I want to focus on is that if you are competing against someone that is really close to you, that you love and you respect, and you want to win, but you want them to win too, it's wonderful as tip number 1 to recognize and be grateful that you have this shared activity that you're both passionate about. Because if you're competing, you're joking about who's going to win, or am I better at you? Am I better than you at darts, or whatever you're doing out there, swimming or running or trivia, whatever you're doing. But just be grateful that you're both passionate enough to care if you perform better than the other person, and then have this fun, competitive camaraderie. To get back to the 400 IM, so I want to give a little example of each of these. Mark, my husband, is more of a sprinter and more of a stroke person. So he's like a breaststroker, butterflyer, sprinter. And I'm more of a distance person, even 800, 1500 freestyler. So we jokingly said, hey, let's have a little competition in the 400 individual medley, which is 100 meters each stroke. So his strokes are involved, freestyles involved, a little distances involved. But for us to come down to being less than 1/10 of a second apart in our times this past nationals, it was really fun. It was the one that we gave bragging rights to. I'm just so grateful that I have a husband. Everywhere we go to meets, I have so many people say how lucky Mark and I are that we do have this activity that we share together, that we can train together. Just be grateful for that. If you really get your feelings hurt when this loved one, really great friendship, beats you, which Mark beats me more times than I beat him, absolutely for sure. He's a better swimmer than I am. Being young and strong and a man, he beats me a lot. But if you focus on your own goals, this is number 2, focus on your own goals and your own personal best, then you're not going to be as upset if they're better, but you've achieved your own goals. That's an obvious one, but sometimes we get caught up in that competition and we don't focus on that. So another thing that I wanted to point out that I was inspired to speak about this topic is that in the Olympics this past summer on our U.S. Olympic swimming team, there were 2 siblings, Alex and Erin Shackells, and the Walsh sisters, Gretchen Walsh and Alex Walsh. They have some fun competition going on between siblings, but of course, it's obvious that the Walsh sisters always celebrate one another when they do well. The Shackells celebrate one another. So that's my number 3, is that celebrate this loved one's successes. Without a doubt, you're going to be happy because you love this person is close to you. And yeah, you do have some kind of a rivalry. Even though Aaron Shackells is a guy and he's bigger and stronger probably than his sister Alex, I guarantee you that they compete on some level. It's some fun thing, like maybe who got the most medals or who improved their time the most or whatever. Because we, as athletes, let's face it, we are competitive. And I know the Walsh sisters compete because sometimes they've competed head to head. So celebrate their successes when they win. And also, this is another kind of small one, when you beat them at something, give them space. You can make the jokes later because they probably don't want to get it rubbed in their face at the time. So celebrate their successes when they beat you. and then give them their space when you beat them. We talk about giving someone space when you beat them. Erica Conley, who made the Olympic team at the U.S. Olympic trials and then ended up being on one of our relays and getting a medal when she and Katie Duluve had the swim off for sixth place, but it was definitely the option to go to the Olympics. So whoever won that swim off between Erica Conley and Katie Duluve was going to make the Olympic team. That was such high stakes. And those two were training partners and friends. I thought it was so touching when Erica Conley won that swim off and she did not celebrate herself. She didn't, like most people would be like, I just made the Olympic team. I'm going to get on the lane line or I'm going to throw my fist in the air. Erica Conley didn't do that. She really just gave respect. I thought that was just an incredible example of sportsmanship, but also this camaraderie, friendship, respect that you have with someone that is your teammate that you love or a family member that you love or someone. I love their interaction when that they were obviously competing for something really big on the line. And number 4 is allow that other person, allow them to teach you something and learn from them. So this is an opportunity to say, I'm with this other person that is competitive with me, but I'm going to recognize sometimes that they are better than I am, even if I have the upper hand, usually in the relationship. Number 5 is enjoy the positive impact that competing with someone you love has on your performance. Like, it's so cool that you are being able to compete with someone that you love because it raises you to a higher level. Sometimes you're just doing a practice, but you have this ability to say, oh, I want to beat my husband in this set, or I want to beat my friend on this particular thing, raises your performance. So here is the review of the 5 tips. Number 1, be grateful that you have this shared activity that you and this loved one are both passionate about. Number 2, focus on your own goals and your own personal best, and then it won't make it so hard to compete and look at the wins and losses as much. Number 3, allow the other person to do some things better than you and learn from them. Let them teach you something. Learn from this competitive relationship, because obviously when we're competitive with people, they're doing something that's keeping them at a high level. Number 4, celebrate their successes when they win and give them their space when you win. And number 5, the last one, enjoy the positive impact that competing with someone you love has on your performance. It just raises us to a higher level. Those are the 5. I hope that you have someone that you do get to compete against and not think of competition as something negative, but maybe think of it as something positive. So thanks for being with me today. Maria is back on our very next episode. We're going to get cranked up for the fall, and we are really excited to keep bringing Champions Mojo to you.
Thank you for listening to the Champions Mojo podcast. Did you enjoy the show? We'd be grateful if you would leave us a 5-star review on iTunes to help others find us. And we'd also love to hear from you. We're on all social media platforms, or you can reach us at championsmojo.com.